gentlemen, may I have your attention, please? The show starts in 3, 2, 1.
Bang.
All right, putting Mary in the spotlight. All right, let me just quick share this out to the Save New York group real quick. Let me just get that over there. I got to do this every time. Share the group. Save New York. And share. All right.
You remember Mary Ellen?
I got a little bit quicker this time.
Nice.
All right. I'm getting better at it, I guess.
Yeah.
All right. So, hey, everybody, we're here with Mary Ellen. She was here 2 weeks ago and was talking about lawfare and what happened to her with New York and federal government, if I remember correctly. Is that right, Mary?
Yes.
Okay.
And
so
Rochester.
And Rochester, New York. So
Yeah.
we talked about having her come back on again. She couldn't make it last week because she wasn't feeling well. But we want to dig a little deeper. We talked about digging a little bit deeper into what happened, and hopefully we don't get banned or anything. But that's fine.
It wouldn't be the first time.
It would be the first time. Well, not for us. We haven't got
Yeah.
banned yet. We haven't got banned yet. But we're going to dig a little bit deeper into what happened. If Mary, if you can just like give a brief run over like from 2 weeks ago, exactly what happened for a couple minutes. This way people can catch up a little bit, and then talk about what did we talk about earlier?
Whatever you want from there.
Yeah, let's dig deep. Let's dig deep into this so people understand what's going on here in New York. And but just go ahead and give a little bit of brief introduction of the 2 weeks ago, just so if anybody didn't see that from 2 weeks ago, they can get a little update and get caught up.
Basically, I had a unique career. I was a manager in construction, and I had a unique background. I worked for top contractors, national contractors. I only worked for 3 different contractors in my 30-year career besides my own business. And I was going to be rewarded by my former employer. He was going to mentor me, his idea to mentor me to start my own woman-owned construction company, which was highly sought after and highly regulated by both the federal and state government, in order to offer opportunities to people like myself and minority and veteran-owned companies, small businesses that weren't able to compete and participate in the high volume of taxpayer dollars that was utilized in construction, public construction. Cut to the chase, it was a muse, it was a scam. I was basically fraudulently induced into starting my own company with their intent that I would be a fraud. They call it a pass-through. And what it is that I really wouldn't be doing the construction work, that I would just sign paperwork to facilitate them obtaining contracts, which had these regulations in to use a company like mine. I didn't know about any of this. My expertise was safety, risk management, and labor management. I never got into the details of their contractual obligations with affirmative action and subcontractors and things like that, unless it was from the safety or management perspective, but never from requirements that you had to be accountable to the federal government. What they wanted me to do was a federal crime. I could have gone to federal prison. One of the things that I later found out is because I'm the one that took the oaths. I'm the one that signed the certification, so on and so forth. That they had no real exposure to it. It was me. Fast forward, I got away from the environment. I took my business. I was running it by myself with some very dedicated employees, and all hell broke loose because not only did I not do as I was told and what I was promised for, I was also succeeding. And now I became, instead of being their front company, their muse, their, concubine, construction concubine,
Mhm.
now I became their competition. And, I still now, every day I think about it. What I went through and other people like myself, whistleblowers or people that have been inundated by the government, some of the things that happen are so unbelievable, such a contradiction to what you were raised to believe, what your thought process was, that it really traumatizes you. It traumatizes you for life. And every day, I could go by a street sign or see a telephone pole or see a truck, uh, and it brings back really horrific memories of how far they went to punish me, and that regardless of the crimes that were committed, there was no resolution for me. There was no remedy. There was nobody for me to go to. When this first started, the FBI came to me and asked me for help. And I made the assumption that by being an operative, cooperating, and working with them for almost 3 years, then when this retaliation began, that they would protect me, right? They
Mhm.
would rescue me. And that couldn't have been farther from the truth. Um, I was just collateral damage. Um, they watched my life and my family's life, my business, my health, and my finances burn to ashes. And that was a huge betrayal. Um, I worked with the EPA and the US DOJ on a criminal case. I helped them, and they were successful in the outcome. I also testified. I was a grand jury witness. I know I'm screwing up the camera here. I was a grand jury witness. Um, I worked with the Department of Defense, the U.S. Department of Justice, the FBI, U.S. Department of Labor, the Department of Defense, Criminal Division, the U.S. Transportation Department, the Port Authority of New Jersey and New York.
Wow.
I don't know. Yeah. Yeah.
Holy
Wow.
smokes.
All
Yeah.
right, let me ask you this, Mary. So when this all went down, and you didn't play ball, is more or less what it comes down to. You didn't play ball with them.
hmm
All these different organizations went after you. How many organizations actually went after you and more or less ruined your life?
Well, actively, I would say, well, you have to look at it. It was multiple entities. I know Governor Como was involved. Um,
Go
Governor
figure. Hmm.
Governor Como's chief of staff had come to me and asked me to be his poster girl for a successful woman in construction. And looking back now, I think that I had been promised to him by my former boss. I kind of, if you look at the timeline, you look at some of the things that happened.
Mhm.
Um, the New York State Police were involved. But they tortured me. It's called being a targeted individual.
Mhm.
I found out later from, doing some digging and some research, they were, I was getting pulled over all the time. I mean, and, I'd get just bizarre things that happen. I'd be, was coming out of Wegmans one night, and I got pulled over with two cop cars, with their hands on their guns. And I'm like, oh, I just, went to buy milk. And these kind of crazy things happen. One of the worst experiences, Rochester Police Department. It's a long story. Go into it. I had filed for workers' compensation. As a business owner, I bought a special policy. Being in construction,
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to protect my family. So I bought an extra policy that would cover me as a president of the company, as an owner. And because of the diagnosis and disability, legal abuse, it was post-traumatic stress disorder, and I tried to make a claim. And the Workers' Compensation Board, and the Workers' Compensation Board hearing judge, Paul Catwos, however you say it, was a monster. And I really think now, looking back, he was put up to it. I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I've just met so many people and talked to so many people and realized these state agencies are all linked together.
Mm-hmm.
So I had the state police on my back. Paul Catwos brutalized me in a comp hearing, which he denied me my right to an attorney. I asked him to comply with the ADA requirements for having PTSD. Not only did he refuse to do it, he started screaming and yelling at me, threatening to sue me for slander. It was crazy. It was absolutely nuts. And here I am in a room with 4 attorneys, 2 judges, and a court reporter. So I knew enough about the law. Here we go again with my career. I ordered the transcripts because I wanted to prove what the judge did to me, which
Mm-hmm.
sent me into another turmoil.
Yep.
And they had been whitewashed. It was the first time I found out and figured out, but later after talking to other people, that verbatim transcripts are not verbatim transcripts in New York. They get changed all the time. And this was one instance. Then I started ordering transcripts in other cases, and it's just a shambles. And so you go to report it to the agency that oversees the New York State court reporters, and guess what? It's a New York State agency.
All right. So
I
what you're
found
saying
it.
is,
It's incestuous. What I'm saying, it's an incestuous system. I was marked, and the FBI was kind enough to tell me to stop going to all these different agencies. I had protections based on my credentials as a woman contractor, federal USDOT. It's called a disadvantaged business enterprise. Those were federal USDOT credentials that very few people had unless they were fraud. And I also was a hub zone contractor, historically underutilized business. And what that meant is I had my business in a certain zip code in a urban area that was poor on jobs. You had to have so many minority people working for you. I far exceeded that. I provided training. I was doing what everything said. I was a rule player, compliance. And I guess it wasn't really real. This is all just on paper. So back to my buddy Paul.
I want to ask you something real quick though. This way people
Yep.
understand. People understand because when you're talking about things, I'm trying to picture it all and figure it all out. And if I'm having a hard time, other people might have a hard time also. So what
Okay.
I'm trying to do is I wanted to ask. So when you said that the court reporter is what you're saying is that the court reporter, what they have down changes.
Oh
They
yeah,
can
they
change it.
changed it.
They're
They
changing
changed.
it. Okay, they can
Yeah.
change
So
it.
listen to
Okay,
this.
okay.
You
That's what
know,
I just
yeah,
wanted to clear
they
that up. This way
changed
people know. Right.
everything and cleaned up where he screamed at me and
Ah,
threatened
okay.
me. Okay.
Okay.
Now
Okay.
there were two voice recording machines, which I thought was very suspicious in the first place. So I call 911 because it's fraudulent government records. 2 RPD came. They interviewed me, and Paul Katwas continued to say that he had the authority to change verbatim transcripts. And I said, it's a felony. It's a felony. She's a licensed court reporter. So anyway, they got me out of the building. They went back and talked to Katwas, and I did a little bit more research. And his senior hearing judge manual that he wrote himself gave him the authority to change the transcripts.
Unbelievable.
You know what? I have it. I saved everything. So then I went home and I was very sick. And I don't know, I probably slept for 2 or 3 months. That's what would happen. These things would happen to me, and I'd be so traumatized. What I had started to recover a little bit, then
They
I'd
do it
crash
again.
again. And so what I did was I went in there and I wanted all my records from my file. Now they tell you can get your records all online,
Mhm.
but their computer system was not compatible with any software. It's crazy. So I went in there early in the morning, like 8:45, and you have to go past a security guard. You have to be buzzed in. They let me in. I asked for my records, and I very innocently took a picture of a sign on the wall that said, "You can't alter hearing records." That was going to be my, uh, key to this, that they
You can.
altered them and their own rules say you can't, even though he said he could. I knew he couldn't. So Scott Herzog, the security guard, with Cat was looking on in the background, smiling, called 911. The police came. I thought, I didn't do anything wrong. I took a picture.
You can take a picture in a public building.
Right. You
Yeah.
can't take it in the hearing rooms, which doesn't make sense either.
Right.
But
Right.
I was in
Yeah.
the lobby where all the attorneys are, and they're on their cell phones and doing stuff all the time. Anyway, it
No
was a picture of a
expectation of
sign.
privacy in public. Go
Right.
ahead.
It's in a public building.
Yep.
Well, so I'm told I'm being arrested. And I said, um, excuse me, officer, put your hands behind your back. You're being arrested. So I put my hands behind my back. I said, excuse me, can you tell me what I'm being arrested for? And he started laughing and he pointed to the security guard and said, because he said so. And they all started laughing. Now, under New York state law, if you're being arrested, you have to be told why you're being arrested, not
Mhm.
because he said so.
What
It
what
was
office? What police department was this?
RPD.
They have
RP.
to give you a
And how long?
trespass warning.
And how long ago was this?
Um, I think it was like 2017, maybe
Okay, right.
2018. I don't know. The years start to blend together. I'd have to
Okay,
look it up.
approximately around 2017, 2018. Okay, okay,
Right.
go ahead. Go ahead.
So, and I didn't know what happened, but one of my friends in the city told me when I told him what happened. They pull up your arm behind your back in a position like if you were going to resist arrest.
Mm-hmm.
There's a hold, and it's called a chicken wing,
Mm-hmm.
and it disables you. It causes excruciating pain, and it makes you lose your balance and fall forward. And I guess this is what they do in a lot of the minority communities to justify their brutality and assault, which is what they did to me. I was thrown in the back of a police car. Now, this is for trespassing in a public building that I had an open claim that all I was trying to do is get my records. And I was taken to the Monroe County Jail and booked. It was the most, oh, and when they did this chicken wing thing, I had just had rotator cuff surgery,
Oh,
and he did it with my right arm, and I was screaming, "Stop, stop, I'm in pain, I'm in pain." You know, my shirt's going up over my head. I'm falling forward, and I have, I don't know, 3, 4 police on top of me, punching me, twisting me. So, yeah, this is a pretty
You
good
got
story.
punched too. You got punched too. You got
I ended
punched.
up in the hospital
Really?
with medical reports that said all of my injuries were consistent with an assault. Oh yeah, I got a message loud and clear.
All right. Let's get like we talked earlier about going deep into this. You have names you want to call out? You got names you want
Yeah,
to call out?
Paul Kotwas,
And who's and say
Scott,
who they are. Say who they are. Each name.
Paul Kotwas is the senior hearing judge for the New York State Workers' Compensation Board.
Is he still
Scott
around?
Herzog was the security guard. The original policeman who set me up when I called the police about the record, Sergeant Lyons, they tried to cover up that I even made a police call. Now, let me insert this here so you understand. I was in a situation where I had a severe mental health diagnosis with post-traumatic stress disorder as a result of being mobbed through the judicial system, my company being sabotaged, money being in. I've already been through brutality. They had all the medical records, the comp board. They knew exactly what they were doing. They were intentionally traumatizing me. As a matter
mhm.
of fact, on the voice recordings, Judge Catwa said, "I don't care about your PTSD. I'll yell and scream and slam my hands on this desk as loud as I want."
Wow.
It was ableism. It was brutality.
Hmm.
And people, in my opinion, that didn't just happen on its own. That came down from somewhere.
Where do you think it
So
came down from? Like you said,
I'm
Cuomo was
saying
involved.
Como. Everything that I've exposed has led back to Como's office. And
Any DAs? Any DAs involved with this, or is how many?
nobody would take my case.
I mean, district attorneys usually going against you more or less
Oh,
for
was that
something.
no? Oh, yeah, I got prosecuted criminally.
By who? By what DA would it be?
The Sandra Dorley's office.
Okay, all right,
Yeah, I was prosecuted criminally. Well, let me finish this because it's pretty important.
okay.
So now the original call that I made, right? They try to say it never happened and I was mentally ill. And none of that happened. That originally, that when I made the call about the transcripts, what they didn't know, the police report disappeared. What they didn't know is I had already foiled the 911 call.
Oh boy. Good for you.
I by this time, you know, I'd been through so many crimes and cover-ups. It was like I was playing, you know, dueling with these people. So
Russian
now
roulette.
this is
Yeah.
3, 4 months later, whatever. I'm in the hospital for assault, and now I have to go to trial. I was so broke from all the litigation. I had no more money left for attorneys. Big mistake. So I used the public defender's office, Monroe County Public Defender. For God's sakes, it was a trespassing charge. But I'm pretty stubborn. Oh, I forgot the part. Excuse me. This was a citizen's arrest. Okay. The police were acting as an intermediary. Scott Herzog made a citizen's arrest against me for trespassing for after he let me in the building. So now I go to court in front of City Court Judge Ellen Belding, which I found out is a real piece of work. On my trial date, she refuses my trial and tells me that the district attorney's office is giving me a very nice ACD or dismissal anticipating. Well, I forget what it is. In other words, if I don't get into trouble in 6 months, it'll go away. Well, it
It'll all
doesn't
go
really
away. Yeah.
go away because in the report, they justified their assault on me is that I resisted arrest.
Mm-hmm.
Now,
Mm-hmm.
I was 50 some years old. I said, "Officer, can you please tell me why I'm being arrested with my hands behind my back?" And they chicken wing me, which is what they do to people when they want to hurt them. Really sad.
They're making a precedent. They're saying don't mess around. Is that what they're
They're
doing?
sending me a message like
Yeah, yeah.
everybody been telling me that no one's ever going to help me. I'm
Yeah.
marked. That's what I
Mm-hmm.
was told time and time again. I'm marked. You're marked in New York. No one's ever going to help you. No agency, no FBI, no Department of Justice, nobody you testified for, nothing. You're marked. And the only one, in my opinion, that had that power was Andrew Cuomo. And if you look at the history of Andrew Cuomo, I read book after book. And if you read any of the testimony of the 12 women that brought suits against him
Mm-hmm.
for sexual harassment and retaliation, I pretty much fit in. I just I was in a different category. That's all.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So then
Right.
tried to get the body cam films. I was denied by Brian Curran, who was corporation counsel at the city of Rochester. No, he wasn't going to give them to me because they were exculpatory evidence. I said they're exculpatory evidence in my case.
Mm-hmm.
And the public defender who was really going after this in the beginning, she couldn't get him either. And I'm quite sure after interactions with her boss, she was told to step down. I argued with that judge over and over and over again that I was not accepting. I wanted a trial. I was there for my trial. I did nothing wrong. This was a citizen's arrest. Why was the DA's office prosecuting me? Good
Yeah, that's
question.
kind of strange because you can go into a public building, and in order to get trespassed from a public building, they have to tell you they're trespassing you. If you don't leave after that point, then yes, they can arrest you. But they can't just come up and arrest you like that in a public building because you're trespassing.
He told me that I couldn't have my records and to
But
leave.
you had legitimate reason to be in that
Yes,
building at that time because you were
right.
getting records. You took a picture,
Yes,
and that was the whole reason for them to basically chicken wing you is because you took a picture.
right. But keep in
Yeah,
mind, I've
that's
already busted Catwas for changing the transcripts,
right,
right?
right. That's a
So I'm
civil
in
courtesy.
trouble. This was it. It's like a battle of wits, and I kept outwitting them, right?
Right. Mm-hmm.
Now I have the proof that I wasn't crazy, that I was there originally, and he admitted to the officer, to the sergeant, yeah, I changed them. I have right to do it. It's right in my senior manual. And his senior manual was written by him.
So if anybody wants to know from the beginning what happened, go back 2 weeks ago when Mary Ellen first came on, and she gives a lot of background of exactly a lot of things that happened at the beginning. If anybody needs a little bit of background of information about this video right now, but we probably we could probably go another 10 minutes or so.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
did you want to go into? We talked earlier. Maybe if you wanted to go into school board stuff or anything else. Is there anything else that you want to talk about? Any corruption
There's
that you
so
that you
much.
spotted?
And I guess, all I can tell you, here's what I want to go into.
Now you
And
did it, Charles.
yeah, now you did it,
Now
Charles.
you did it.
And
That's
you
fine.
have to forgive me because do you know I had been traumatized so bad. I said I lost my words. I lost my words. I had been so damaged that I'd lost my vocabulary. I didn't remember when I was born. I didn't remember how to spell my name.
Wow.
What they did to me is inhumane, and they didn't care. And they had the medical records that knew how bad it was. And they turned up the heat. And it wasn't just the comp board. It was the New York State Supreme Court. It was the City of Rochester Court. It was attorneys that I paid, local attorneys.
Do you have names?
Yep.
Names?
Sharon Stiller was my attorney. She forgot to give Judge Taylor the affidavit from the U.S. Department of Justice that I had federal witness immunity in a defamation case from Daniel Hogan and Crane Hogan, my former boss.
Just happened to forget.
Geez, yeah, that didn't get there. So I knew, I had a funny feeling. Judge Taylor had a medical records from my psychiatrist and my physician that I wasn't capable of defending myself in court for defamation, and that me being forced to go in there would further harm my health. And he denied the medical stay. Yeah,
Wow.
this is important for me to finish. Your listeners are going to want to hear this, because keep in mind, he's Chief Justice now, and he's sitting on civil court. I was so damaged, but I knew his name from somewhere. And I pulled the campaign contributions from him. And there it was. Dan Hogan and his attorney, Rich Bell, and his other attorney, Tony Adams, and their law firm, Adams Bell Adams, had contributed 2 times the allowable amount to his campaign. He was assigned, there was another judge on my case that Sharon didn't give the federal witness immunity to. He was removed 1 week after Taylor took his oath. I had backdoor the information and told my attorney, I had a feeling, but you know, when you're being gaslighted, the whole thing is to question your own sanity. But I went mostly with my gut feeling. And I told her what I found. And mysteriously, 18 months after these campaign finance reports were due and submitted, they needed to be amended, according to the New York State Board of Elections. And Jeff Adair amended the campaign finance reports. And at the same time, the GOP housekeeping fund changed $12,000 in campaign contributions. So the names of the donators didn't show. But I had it all. I kept it all. And I foiled from the New York State Board of Elections all the records, and they sent me the changed information, which now the $12,000 was changed to $99 each. And in New York, anything under $100 and under can be anonymous.
Anonymous, yeah.
Yeah, so it doesn't show. And and they were also kind enough to send me a memo that all prior submissions were to be shredded. And
Wow.
there
That's
you have it.
crazy.
Yep.
That's crazy. Really crazy.
And,
it's hard to believe that goes on. And you said you know more people this happened to.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Wow. Women in Rochester. I mean, I've heard stories around the country. I have stories in New York. That's what's on our film. There are 5 whistleblowers that came together. We still work together on stuff. Wow. I just was on the phone with one the other night. I don't know if you saw the New York Post article where a lobbyist was punched by a senator.
No.
Yeah. Well, that was one of the other whistleblowers.
In New York?
Really?
Yeah. Yeah. It just happened a few days ago.
Oh, wow.
So
I don't watch the news, but or read it. But go ahead.
yeah, see that's I drive everybody crazy, but that's how I kind of got my sanity back, is finding people that this happened to. And then we got involved with a group in Washington and I spoke with veteran whistleblowers. I spoke in front of a group of
Mhm.
in a national summit. I, it's been a real whirlwind, and it's not about, I got to do this, I got to do that. This was the most horrific betrayal. And
Mhm.
I really get triggered watching what they're doing to President Trump,
Mhm.
whether it was Trump or anybody. I feel the pain because
Because
I
you
went
went
through
through
it.
it. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I
Exactly.
went,
Yep.
a betrayal, it doesn't matter how many zeros are after your income. It
Mhm.
doesn't matter, if you have Secret Service or if you were the president or if you were just somebody like me that trusted her boss, that he really wanted to do something kind for me.
Mhm.
Um, and finding out that everything around you is bought and paid for. The state police, the state police mocked me and told me that they were going to falsify the affidavits of the people who were in that hearing with that hearing judge that saw what happened to me and heard what happened to me. And I had made a human rights complaint. And he told me it's going to come back. I'm putting it on Governor Cuomo's desk and it's going to come back unfounded. Brent Bernard,
Hmm.
trooper investigator Brent Bernard. And I would get these ideas and I looked it up, and son of a gun, right after that, Governor Cuomo made him chief investigator for New York State human rights.
No kidding.
Can't
Because the
make it up. I
troopers, the
got it up.
troopers, the troopers are controlled by the governor. That's
Yep.
Right.
the problem. But
Yep.
you know something? I've known troopers, and a lot of them are good people.
Oh
But
yeah.
there's a lot of good people, but they have to stand up for what's right. Any law enforcement's got to stand up for what's right. They cannot just follow orders, no matter who
There's
you
a
are.
lot of crooked ones out there. I can tell you that.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I can tell you, I can name
Unfortunately.
the laundry list. And so we'll go back to think about the fact that my boss, former boss, and his attorney and his partner gave campaign contributions to a New York State Supreme Court judge that violated his oath 1 week after he took it.
Mhm.
That's who we have sitting in public office.
And
That's why
these.
people. Oh, we lost him for a second.
Oh,
Oh,
is
he's back.
is he
He's
still
back.
there?
Oh yeah.
He's still on the seat. Wow.
Oh, well, here's the thing. I put some, because I post stuff. I put something on Twitter a couple weeks ago about how many meetings in the library they had. I was in court 4.5 years for this, and there wasn't even a scheduling order. They kept telling me Judge Taylor said you have to sign Hogan's non-disparage agreement. I said, I'm not signing anything. And all the stuff. And by the way, my attorney, Sharon Stiller, cha-ching, 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 cha-ching. I can't even look at how much money I spent. And the file and all the documents were listed in the New York State Unified Court System.
Mhm.
And after I made the statement about the multiple pre-trial hearing conferences, you have one. In my case, there were 6, and she was charging me enormous amount of money. There's not even a court scheduling order yet. And mysteriously, that has disappeared off the unified court system.
You know what really
Unbelievable.
sucks? You know what really sucks about the whole situation is that when you're going against like the state or the government, they have all the resources in the world. They have
Mhm.
all the resources. And the thing that sucks is that it's us that are paying them to do this to people like you.
Yep.
And it sucks. And then people have to be removed. Anybody that's corrupt has got to be removed. And people have to look into people and look at their
Mhm.
background, research them, find out what they're about before they start voting for these people that are doing this to average citizens that are just trying to live and that are getting destroyed.
Yep.
They do.
Absolutely, I
And
agree.
I want to bring out too, because this really broke my heart. There's a young woman, Rebecca Kimmel. She worked for
We lost John again real quick, but go ahead.
she worked for Matthew Rosenbaum, who was the Chief Justice, who was also a friend of Dan Hogan's. And she brought allegation after allegation about the sexual abuse, harassment, rape, and it was heartbreaking to me because she went to a lot of the same people I did in New York, and it was all covered up. And 1 week after Rosenbaum was reelected, she brought allegations through an attorney against him. It's in federal court right now. And she sued some of the people that I went to, one of the judges that was overseeing another case, and all the way up the chain, like I did, because you follow the chain. This is what the law says. These are the people that are entrusted to protect you, and they're not. They're
It's
paid for by the government, that is paid for by us, and we mean nothing to them. We are
no, we're
just collateral damage. And I talked to her, and she was in the same shape that I was. They
we are
brutalize you intentionally. This is mental torture, what they did.
and we're just peasants. We're just really just peasants.
Pretty
They,
much.
they they look at themselves as way up here, and they look at us like way down here. We're just like peasants to them, like nothing.
This
Get
community,
rid of her, get rid of her. Destroy her.
right.
She's a thorn. Get rid of her.
And not that I tell people I'm not a feminist. I'm an equal black, white, gray, male, female, home. I don't care who you are. Everybody should be treated equally. That's who I am.
Yes.
And but the pattern of the women in Rochester that have reached out to me is frightening. Frightening.
Yeah, everybody should look at. I try to look at people like I'm at like an even level with everybody, even a judge. I've been in front of judges. I don't look at him as or her as anybody higher than me or lower than me. I look at them as like an equal person. Just because their name says that they're a judge doesn't make them a better person than me. Doesn't make them higher than me. We're all equal. I look at everybody at an equal playing field right off the bat, and that's how everybody really should look at everybody, even the judges. They don't hold. I know judges, but they don't hold that superiority type thing over you. When in all actuality, we're all human, and we all should be looking at each other as equal right off the bat.
Well, I was raised in good part by my uncle, who was an assemblyman, and then he was the U.S. attorney, and then he was a federal judge. And I can say that my character and my integrity is a direct result of the way I was raised. And something has changed dramatically.
Evil.
It is. It's a political evil. Um, and I call Monroe County the Uniparty,
Yes.
um, because of what I've seen in my interactions, um, and things that I know and the people involved and what they allowed to happen to me or anybody. Any of the other dozen women that I've spoken to or have reached out to me, maybe it's up to 2 dozen by now. There's something seriously, seriously wrong. And I hope and pray that what I come out with and what I say, that maybe I'll reach one person or maybe I'll help somebody. But my philosophy is now trust no one. Never
Yeah.
trust anyone completely.
John said he lost us from the lightning. He
Oh,
had lightning
jeez.
where
Well,
he's
I'm
at.
glad he was in the truck and not outside. So
So
thanks for having me on.
let
It's
people
you
know. Let people know you're like how to reach you and everything else if they want to learn more. And if anybody has any questions, go ahead and throw the questions out there. Mary said that she'll pop back occasionally and look through the comments to see if there's anything. If anybody has any questions, and she'll try to answer them for you. But
yeah.
where can they reach you? Like if they have more
Well,
questions
I
directly.
the best way to, I think, communicate with me, because I've been very open on Twitter. Um, it's capital M, capital E, capital B, Mary Ellen Belding, underscore justice, Justice. And if you want to follow me on Twitter, communicate with me. I communicate back. I'm usually on there every day. I'm on Facebook, but I've saved that for a little bit more um, friendly, if you will. I have
That-
to have some division in this, because I literally lost my mind. I did. I had a complete, total physical and mental breakdown that I was diagnosed very, it was very unlikely that I would recover. And it's been a long, long road. And I think part of my recovery was finding other whistleblowers and realizing I wasn't alone. Another woman who's now my best friend got in Hogan's crosshairs too, and he ruined her life too. And she got caught up in the legal system too. And we gave each other a lot of strength. Um, and we do to this day. And helping people. When people reach out to me, if I can just give them a kind word or say, I understand, like Rebecca, it will get better. Take care of yourself. Always put yourself first. It's not selfish. That's what you need to do to survive. And I just hope someday, somehow, I guess I'm praying for President Trump. He sees how evil the New York court system is, um, and that he'll come through here with a wrecking ball and take every one of these corrupt, immoral, illegal people that swore an oath on the Bible and put them where they belong, and that's behind bars.
All right, Mary Ellen, you said you have a documentary. Can you throw that in the come back
Sure.
to the video and throw it in the comments? A
Yep.
link to it. So if
Yep.
anybody wants to see the documentary, now you're in the documentary. You're involved with the documentary also.
I'm in it. It's the stories of 5 whistleblowers in New York. We found each other on social media, and we became the fight for justice. We've been all over the country speaking, and we exposed a lot of heinous abuse. A lot of it was tied to Como. Um, and we're still together today. But some really incredible stories that tell you just how corrupt the oath takers are.
Yeah. So if you could post it on the Save New York group, because you're not gonna be able
Okay.
to do it. You're not gonna be able to do it on the page because that's just a page. But if you save it on the group, we could share it onto the page where other people will see it also. That'd be
Okay.
great. That'd be great. So, and if anybody has any questions, Mary said she'll pop in and out here and there. See if there's anybody's got any questions for her. And
Yep.
look for her on Twitter. And Mary, thanks for coming on again. You're
Thanks for
you're
having me.
you're a trooper.
Really.
You're a
Thanks.
trooper, not a New York trooper, but you're you're a
I have
fighter.
to tell
You're
you,
a fighter.
wait. One last thing.
Yeah,
I back the blue big time.
yeah.
Big time. My niece, 2 nephews are police in Rochester, and I have one that just retired. I pray for them every night. this does not reflect on the majority of the police.
No, it doesn't.
But no, absolutely not.
No.
And I will stand up for them 110%. But there are some people, whether they have a badge or a robe or a big wallet, that are just pure evil. And I
Yes.
happen to trip over them.
All right, Mary, thanks for joining
Thanks.
us again, and
Good
thanks for
night.
digging a little deeper, and we'll
Thanks.
talk again soon.
Okay. Bye
All
bye.
right. Good night. We'll take care.